Hi, everybody. Karen Roby here for Tech Republic. Very challenging times for all of us as we are adjusting to a new normal, or trying to find our new normal, I should say. Richard Bird with Ping Identity here with me today to talk about some of these challenges of having a workforce that's attempting to work from home, or a good bit of us. Richard, as we work through this, one of the big issues that I think we have to talk about is security with people working from home, and what that's going to look like. Start off for me, if you would, with some of your concerns here from a security standpoint, and then we'll kind of work from there as far as to what companies need to do and how they need to tackle this.
Sure. I think there's concerns probably in three specific parts. The first part is a concern about corporations and their capability to actually adjust to a remote workforce model. A lot of people that I've been talking to in companies all around the world built their business continuity plans based upon the assumption that we'd be able to do shift work, or there'd be skeleton crews, left inside of facilities. And, it's very clear that now a lot of that has shifted to 100% evacuation from those facilities and 100% work from home. So companies are definitely struggling with a reality that wasn't reflected in their own emergency planning. For the workforce, the second concern for the workforce, we know that behaviors in a personal setting tend to be less risk aware than if you're in your corporate setting, right? Where messaging and communications, even signage and all those types of things are, at least attempting to continuously remind employees to stay safe. When you're at home, you're more relaxed. You're in a much more comfortable personal setting, and that is a concern relative to letting your guard down. And the third piece that's really, really troubling, that hasn't been getting a lot of attention other than news breaking about the attempts, is that bad guys thrive in bad times. So with all of the things that are going on, the things that we're hearing about happening with massive attempts at credential stuffing, massive attempts at the attempt to bring down the Department of Health and Human Services from a DDoS standpoint, and then all of the phishing scams, all of the COVID-19 related application scams that are going on. Bad guys are capitalizing in the moment. And the really frustrating part of that is, in many cases, they're using information that has been gleaned from hacks and exploits over the last 5 or 6 years. So, we're in this, perfect storm of tremendous amounts of personal information that are available about these individuals that are now working from home, and companies that are struggling to provide the same levels of security and safety for both their own assets and their employees. And it's a challenging time.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And you just hit the nail on the head that the bad guys do thrive at a time when chaos is, all around us, and uncertainty. And uncertainty is tough for everybody. And that's when they take advantage of people. So let's go through, with your clients. What are you telling them? What are you reminding people, and having a platform to tell just the enterprise in general, what do they need to be doing right now to keep their company, their employees safe?
Really, a lot of our focus has turned to our own customers and clients' demands, where the great example of this massive move of employees to remote work, in many companies not having that built into their plans, there's a reality that they can't move fast enough to replace, say, desktop equipment. So that opens up now the need for rapid deployment of access to virtual assets on people's own personal devices. And many companies hadn't planned for the type of scale and speed needed to be able to address that and stay running as a business. So many of our customers are coming to us with basically expansions of their own emergency plans. We're coming back out to customers and to the market, recognizing the fact that as people have gone remote, the need for the extension of security to those remote locations is absolutely critical and vital to I mean, really to national security, really to business, running at a certain amount of pace to keep the rest of the economy going. So we're working really, really hard with both new and old customers to either expand their capabilities around things like multi-factor authentication, or expand their capabilities to be able to provide a secure access point for web applications or virtual desktops. So it's in two parts. The first is there's certainly a segment of the business population that is asking for help to try and immediately resolve gaps. And there are a number of companies that we work with that were already well down the path of securing their workforce remotely, but they need to rapidly expand those capabilities.
Yeah, that's really some great advice, Richard, to pass on. And kind of final thoughts here. Do you feel like when you talk to your clients or to business leaders in general, are you finding that their feeling is one of being scared and worried this isn't going to work out? Or do you feel like you have the ability to calm them and say, we're going to be okay, your security will be taken care of, but you got to do these things? How do you feel like they're feeling?
Yeah, I think my perspective on this is informed by my own experience, 20 plus years in the corporate setting and IT executive management, large companies. I lived through a lot of events of the last couple of decades, whether that be the internet bubble bursting or 9/11 from an operational, management standpoint, or, things like I was a consultant on the ground the last day of Enron, 07, 08, all of these events, while they're not the same as what we're going through today, certainly have informed a lot of senior leaders in terms of how to manage through crisis without panicking. But what I really find interesting is the big difference in today's environment versus those other, periods in time has been the expansion of digital capabilities. So as I'm talking to business leaders around the world, what I am really impressed by is actually the lack of panic, and the effort to address the need to continue to operate and continue to sustain business operations, not just from a let's get through this crisis standpoint altogether, from that standpoint, but from a realization that this event does have an expiry date on it. So everyone is looking to the horizon, knowing that there is a point when we will collectively and globally have this under control. And a big concern for a lot of the corporations that I think is tempering any concerns of panic is nobody wants to be in a situation where they overreact relative to reducing, eliminating staff and cutting back operations to the point that when this thing does turn around, and it will turn around quickly, that they're unable to meet the demands and needs of their customers in a hyper escalated economic environment where everything comes back online. So I really am impressed by how little panic that I see in corporate executive management here in the United States as well as around the world. And I just think that's emblematic of our capabilities being extended with all of the digital means that we have available to us today.
Excellent. And I like ending there on a positive note, because with so much negative, news and the vibes that we have coming our way, it's nice to hear you say that you feel that way. So I appreciate you being with us here today, Richard, to talk through this. And it's not going to be an easy time, but it's certainly one that we can get through. And advice from experts like you is something that we feel important to pass on. So thanks for being with us again here today. And certainly we will follow up here soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.